and welcome back to the Secret Passage podcast. I'm your host, Dana Vespoli.
And I am your H to the OST, Shannon Rogers.
And we are back with a conversation on the disappearance of Brian Shaffer, kind of an old school, but still crazy, weird, mysterious case. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Brian Shaffer, his episode of Unsolved Mysteries was really popular and just continues to confuse people to this day. Anytime anyone disappears, like into thin air, or seemingly into thin air, it disrupts. We've talked about it many times. Our need for cohesion. And the thing that's especially crazy about Brian Shaffer is there was nothing leading up to his disappearance that seemed strange, right?
Mm-mm.
But
The only thing that was, I think, in the column of like stressors or something, like if there's certain theories about what might have happened, and would be like medical school is really stressful, and his mom had just died. Those are like two major things that were going on in his life, but everything else, was great. He just finished midterms. He had a
yeah,
girlfriend. Yeah.
right. So quick background on Brian Shaffer. He was born February 25th,
That's my
1982.
birthday.
Haha, you're going to disappear next. Just kidding. um, Yeah, he was born February 25th, 1982 in Pickerington, Ohio. He was a bright and ambitious medical student. He had graduated from Ohio State in 2004 with a degree in microbiology and then was attending medical school. He was very close to his family. His parents were Randy and Teresa Shaffer, were very, very supportive. He was especially close to his mother, and she passed in 2006, shortly before he disappeared. He had a long-term girlfriend named Alexis Wagoner, I think was her last name. Alexis. He had plans to propose, and that brings us to the timeline of events on the evening of his disappearance. So, March 31st, 2006. It was the night of Brian's disappearance was pretty normal. He had dinner with his dad and was very tired. He was real tired, and I think even his father had suggested, well, if you're tired, you finish midterm, why don't you just go home? Like you have a trip coming up with your girlfriend. They were going to go on vacation together. 2 days later, they were planning on this. And Brian had already made plans to meet up with his friend Clint and Meredith to go bar hopping. And so he didn't want to flake on anyone. So he planned to go out. So he meets up with Clint Florence, and they make plans to go out and celebrate one of the last weekends of spring break. And so they ended up at a very popular bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona in Columbus. And they met up with some other friends. And then around midnight, after several hours of drinking, Brian was planning on heading to another bar, but then he was like, "No, let's stick around. Let's stick around the Ugly Tuna. Everything's popping here. It's great." Good mood, seemingly in good spirits, talking with friends, flirting with girls, but apparently. And then around 1:15, Brian made his last known contact with Clint and Meredith. Uh, he said that he was going to go outside and smoke or do something.
Oh, talk to the band.
Oh yeah, he was real into the band that was playing, and said he wanted to go talk to them, and then was planning on meeting up with his friends, but then did not. So around 2 a.m., Clint was like, "Huh, weird," But apparently, it was not uncommon for Brian to just kind of slip out. There's a lot going on, so Clint and Meredith didn't worry too much about it. They didn't know where he was, but they figured he had left. And then the bar closed, and after that point, he never returned home, and Meredith became worried because she couldn't reach him, which was unusual. And then she ended up calling his father, Brian's father, to say, "Hey, this is weird. I haven't heard from him. He hasn't called me. He's not answering his phone. I don't understand what's going on. Have you heard from him?" And then finally, the day that Brian and Alexis were supposed to leave, which was
I think it was Monday.
following Monday.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, because it was about 2 days later.
Yeah. But I thought I'm not clear on the timeline with the dad, her call to the father, because one podcast I listened to said it wasn't until Monday, and then
Right.
another one said it was the next day. Because then someone said that the people checked the dumpsters in the area the next day, but I didn't remember. I don't. That's not my
I don't
timeline.
that's not
Yeah.
that's not my timeline either.
Yeah. Okay. Someone just gave out bad information, I guess.
Yeah, it's conflicting. I mean, the bottom line is that police weren't alerted until the day that Brian was
April
supposed to leave, right?
April 3rd. Yeah.
April 3rd, yes. Okay, so that jibes because he goes out the night of the 31st.
Oh, it was the first because the next day was April Fool's Day, and they were all thinking it could be a joke.
Right.
That's right. Okay.
And so
Yeah.
police weren't contacted until April 3rd.
Let's see. Police investigation. Yeah, I think so. I think they really weren't told until the dad went to Brian's house, saw that everything was, and she also went to Brian's house, I think. And they all saw that his bed was made, the house was clean, his car was there.
Nothing was missing.
Hmm.
Yeah, his car was parked there because he had gone to the bar with Clint, I think, in Meredith. And he lived 6 blocks away from the bar. So I mean, I know blocks can be whatever. It was considered walking distance.
Within like a mile, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but back then, I guess Columbus was not the greatest, safest.
Right.
It's not as safe as it is today. Yeah.
Right. The gateway, that area around the Ugly Tuna and construction and stuff, they were trying to kind of um, gentrify, I guess, that area, but the surrounding outer parts were still not considered especially safe. And so it's one of those things where he's 28-year-old dude in good shape, doesn't live far from the bar. Like, what are the odds, right? That might have been a thought process. So the compelling piece about this is that, and what I think chilled a lot of people who watched this unfold on like Unsolved Mysteries and stuff, was how you can clearly see him on CCTV footage. You
Yeah.
see him walking out of the bar, mingling outside, going back into the bar. You never see him leave on any of the CCTV. And that's the part that I think is so vexing for people, is how the hell do you disappear this way?
Yeah. So this is interesting. I just heard this yesterday. Tell me if you remember this.
Okay.
Um, so he's seen going and talking to those girls, and then he's seen going back up the escalator, but he's never seen going back into the bar. So people they assume he went into the bar because they didn't see him go back down, but it doesn't show him actually going back into the bar. So there's no evidence that he actually went back in. I don't know what could have happened to him, fall over the side, go somewhere where there was, so I don't, but there's that too. And I guess those cameras were, some of them were the scan kind that go like this
Sure.
and move, and those have glitches. And this is I was listening to this podcast yesterday. I forgot the name. I can link to it in the notes, but they were just talking about how the technology wasn't foolproof. But you're right. They did sit and look at every single person going in and out of the bar, and they could account for everyone except for him. And that's what makes it so freaky.
Right.
But there was
So,
a third exit. Like they say, there was a
yes.
third exit but that wasn't, there was no camera on it. And it was like a service elevator for the maintenance people that were doing the construction. But they said that he would have been caught probably on another business's camera using that one. So that's another piece.
Right. So all this to say that Brian Shaffer is still missing to this day. Ever since he disappeared on April 1st, 2006, he has never been seen or heard from again. And there's a lot of theories. One popular theory is that
Aliens.
well, there's that, but also just that he's like, medical school, schmedical school. My mom died. I don't want to marry Alexis. I wish that I was a rock star. I'm going to disappear without any money, my passport, nothing, into the ether and start anew somewhere else.
And leave my guitar at home.
Yes. Leave my guitar, leave everything. Just like my dad lost his beloved wife 3 weeks ago. I'm just going to add to his misery by disappearing
From
without
a
a
bar
trace.
at 2 a.m.
Yeah, like so, yeah, exactly. I'm going to walk away from my friends,
Right. Not like, yeah. I mean, and also not take my car.
Not take anything. I just literally disappear. That's not a theory that I believe.
Mm-mm.
Uh-oh. And apparently Poochie doesn't believe it either. He's just running down the hall. So what is it about this case in particular? This is one of many missing or disappeared cases. We had spoken about other cases such as Bryce Laspisa, which the prosecutors did a great 2-part podcast on Bryce Laspisa, who disappeared. I'll just give a quick rundown for anybody that is not familiar with that, just a very quick overview. So Bryce Laspisa disappeared in August of 2013. He was 19. And he disappeared while driving home to Laguna Niguel, California from Sierra College, where I believe he was in his sophomore year. His car was found wrecked off a 25-foot embankment near Castaic Lake, but he was missing, and the case remains unsolved. What's notable about this case is that leading up to this, he had fundamentally changed in his second year of college. He was not doing very well, to the point where his college best friend went out of his way to call Bryce's mother to say, "Hey, I'm worried about Bryce. He's acting strangely."
Yeah.
That his girlfriend called the mother and said, "Hey, Bryce is acting very strangely. I don't feel good about giving him his keys to go home." Bryce had given away valuables leading up to this. So strange things were happening. Bryce
Mhm.
was not doing well.
Mhm.
And then it looks as though, and I believe that Brett and Alice, was their conclusion that they came to, is that he tried to kill himself, drove off the embankment because the signs were there. He drove around. You could see on CCTV footage. He drives
Mhm.
around
Mhm.
and then he comes back and drives, and that there's no braking. He just goes off the embankment. Unfortunately, well, I don't want to say unfortunately, but I think he expected that it would be fatal. It wasn't. So then he pulls himself out of the wreckage and then succumbs to his injuries, perhaps somewhere in the wilderness.
Mhm.
Um, but so that's a disappearance that's still unsolved because there's never been a body. But I think there's a reasonable conclusion you can draw
Mhm.
as to what befell Bryce.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like classic symptoms of someone who could do suicide.
right.
Yeah, because
And
there was drugs involved, and it seemed very bipolar-ish. I don't know what his diagnosis was or if he even had one, but it seemed like he was very up and down, and
was
um,
you? I think he was taking Vyvanse, or he
yeah.
was doing stuff, not sleeping,
Mm-mm.
having these like weird trance like episodes where he would just sit and stare.
Mm. Yeah.
In his car. But then you have the case of Maura Murray, who also is somebody who wasn't doing great leading up to her disappearance. So we'll do a quick overview, and then listeners, basically, I'm just trying to discuss what makes the Brian Shaffer one just especially
Mhm.
bizarre in light of these other disappearances. So
Mhm.
Maura Murray, she's 21. She was a 21-year-old nursing student. She disappeared February 9th, 2004 after her car crashed on Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire. She vanished from the scene before police arrived. Despite extensive searches, media attention, and online investigation, her whereabouts remain unknown, with theories ranging from her voluntarily disappearing, sorry, to foul play, and it's still unsolved, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Similar to Bryce, Mora she had a lot of darkness. There was a lot going on with her. Um, Very famously, she was kicked out of West Point
Mhm.
and then was in school. She was stealing a lot. She had a lot of odd behaviors.
I forgot about what was it that got her kicked out of West Point? Do we remember?
Stealing.
Oh, okay.
She was
Mm.
she stole from the oh, what's it called?
Oh, commissary or something like that?
Commissary. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was something very strange. It was like makeup. It was a case of like some of her behaviors that made no sense because she didn't, she wasn't having financial pressure. That there weren't these things, but she was engaging in a lot of strange behaviors. She drank. She had a drinking problem, so she was struggling.
Yeah.
She had a lot going on. So my theory was always that she crashed her car, knew that she had alcohol in her car, knew that this was yet another fuck up because believe her mom or her father had to bail her out not long before this because of an accident that she had gotten into.
Mm.
And then this was going to be yet again another case of her fucking up where she did not want to have to deal with law enforcement. So I always believed that she took off into the woods, was inebriated, succumbed to the elements,
Yeah.
and in the case of we had talked about before, you know, when people insist, well, she would have been found by now. Bryce would have been found by now. The problem is sometimes they're not, and then it's
Mm-mm.
like a hiker, like in the case of Chance Engelbert.
Yeah.
who they searched and searched and searched, yet it was hikers that came across his remains. So
Yeah.
it's not always this thing where you go looking, therefore you will find them.
Yeah, it's really hard in the wilderness to, I mean, there's so, even if you do like a grid search, I mean, I think people have missed things on those.
Hmm.
Isn't that what they're called? When you,
Grids,
when you
yeah,
go together and you, yeah.
and then
Everybody.
yeah, and you
Mhm.
exactly, and then you've got wildlife, you have all kinds of things like that. Um, so there are, in the case of Bryce and Mora, I think some reasonable conclusions that you can draw from just based on events leading up to their disappearances and what we know about their mental states going into these disappearances. And
Yeah, I
with
mean, if you look at the pattern of those, if you look
yeah,
at the whole pattern, it doesn't get like your it doesn't get my spidey senses about foul play going. It just gets
yeah,
more like, "Oh, something happened, they got disoriented, she wandered off and froze to death," or he tried to kill himself and then he ended up somewhere and animals ate him. I mean, that's sort of, we know those roads. It was so interesting listening to the Bryce piece podcast, because those little stops along the five are so familiar, and I could just imagine the territory. And there's, I mean, it makes total sense that they couldn't find him or wouldn't find him if he had passed there. Yeah.
right. And uh so with Brian Shaffer, what stands out is how there's no indication, which doesn't mean that there was nothing. I mean, who knows? Maybe Brian Shaffer is just better at keeping things close to his vest. Um, but he was out drinking. He had plans in 2 days to go on a vacation. He was close to his father, he was close to his family. There was nothing to indicate that anything was amiss in his life. He literally went up an escalator and no one ever saw him again. That's weird.
Well, I always thought that too. I've always, yeah, this is an unsolved mystery. It's like, it's all on camera. It's one of the most, it is the most heavily surveilled city in the whole state, more so than other cities. And it's odd that he wasn't caught on other CCTV cameras outside of the bar on his way home, potentially too. So there's the whole aspect of like, is he in the building still? Or, right? So that I think adds more, it makes it more compelling, because you would think if he was on foot, if he got out of the building, that at some point,
You would see
somewhere,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even if he was abducted or,
Yeah, exactly. Like getting into a car, being forced into a car, passing by a business if he was walking.
yeah,
You would think like, okay, let's say he met with foul play. You're going to see him at least somewhere before he's met with foul play. You'll see him somewhere on that block, right? How is it that he avoided detection? Was he intentionally avoiding detection? Um, what?
this is the only case I've ever heard three very experienced, very thoughtful, very grounded podcast hosts go, aliens?
Right,
Like, because it's so, you would, I think we feel like we had eyes on him. How could we not have seen him?
right.
Electronic eyes, but eyes nonetheless.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, Big Brother was watching him apparently.
yeah.
What was Big Brother doing?
Coffee break.
Yeah. Big Brother had to go to the bathroom. And then that was when Brian Shaffer made his escape from the physical world.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, one thing though, the suicide thing was always seemed ridiculous to me, but after thinking about it and doing a little bit of research, well, and also what I know about men at booze and impulsivity. I mean, women do it too, but men tend to be, I think, more impulsive. Sorry, guys. That's just the statistics. And I'm just quoting statistics. Um, so, and also medical school has one of the highest numbers of suicide rates of all the different, so high pressure, grief, lost his mom, alcohol. I mean, I think you'd find a body if he did that. I think there would be
Well,
a body
that
somewhere.
my question
Yeah.
would be how the hell, unless he threw himself into a river, the river, you would think hanging would make sense, right? It's an easy thing to do if you have a belt. You would hang yourself. It's an assured passing.
River, they would have found him too. I heard. So they, like
Right.
when they were doing the river. Yeah.
They drag the river. He's gonna wash up on something, right?
Hmm.
Hanging, you're gonna find him.
Yeah.
So how would he have done it?
Yeah. That's the only thing that gives me pause, because some people hide things. People you don't know, they act like they're fine, and then all of a
Sure.
sudden, but the lack of a body
Yeah.
is really the thing. Which
That's
Mhm.
yeah. And also it just is it's such a cruel thing to just leave, to not essentially do something like say goodbye to your father who just lost his wife.
I know.
Alexis, who is fully expecting to go on this trip. Like usually there's something like, hey guys, I can't, it's not you, it's me. I can't do it anymore. Something. Um, so, I understand impulsivity, but like, that's just so, for someone who makes his bed and keeps his apartment clean, there's no loose ends tying up.
I was like, he makes his bed.
That doesn't surprise me if he's a med student.
So he did say to Alexis Reese just before that she should leave him because he's going through such too hard of a time. She should just break up with him. That's a pretty but I don't think he was. I just don't think it doesn't. I mean, I just think he would find a body, and we haven't found a
Yeah.
body. So
Right.
yeah.
So that doesn't quite work. Um, so there's the theory that he just went off to become, I guess, a musician somewhere. I say musician because he was a huge Pearl Jam fan.
Oh God, did you hear the quote he said about being like, what's the guy who sings is Margaritaville?
Oh, Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, he said his fantasy was to go off and live on an island like Jimmy Buffett.
Okay.
My friends and I used to joke in high school. I was like, if I die, you don't get to say any embarrassing shit about me. Like, Shannon really loved sausages.
The one thing I remember about Shannon, the thing that stands out the most is her love of Vienna sausages.
She'd love those tiny wieners.
Those little cute tiny wieners, which resembled the fingers on her hands. Short and stubby.
But seriously, don't go telling people about my Jimmy Buffett fantasies, please.
Right?
I don't know. It's like,
right. And he had a Pearl Jam tattoo.
I know.
So it's like, well, Jimmy Buffett and Pearl Jam, what an odd cross section of music. But yeah, so there's the theory that he killed himself. There's the theory that he decided to start anew somewhere else without any of his friends or family knowing where he went.
To Margaritaville, that's where he went.
He went to Did anybody check Margarita? Has anybody bothered to check Margaritaville? Anyone? Or any bars called Margaritaville. He likes bars and he likes Margaritaville. So
also Lucky Tuna Saloona. Oh no.
The Ugly Tuna.
Oh yeah, ugly Lucky Tuna.
Yeah, like it's got to be ugly.
Yeah,
Ugly Tuna.
Oh God,
it's
just
insane.
so cringe. Yeah,
I know. So some of the other theories are that he went and met up with the girls that he had been flirting with, and that somehow they were responsible. Have you heard that theory?
Well, I heard that they were with some guys, or they say I did not corroborate this go around, but I remember a long time ago listening to something about this case, and that there were people who were adjacent to these girls who were kind of like the criminal element, and that they were looking at them potentially, but I didn't look. I'm just saying stuff now. I didn't really fact check that. So
Right. And the girls had given him their number, or one of them or both of them, and then I mean, they spoke to law enforcement, and they were cleared. Like
Yeah.
nothing came of that except that he got some girls' phone numbers, which if I was
How
Alexis, I'd be pretty bummed out to hear
s-
that.
seriously. That would
He
impact my
disappeared and he was a player? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
Uh,
that helped a little bit with her grief. I don't know.
right, right. Oh my goodness. So then there was the theory about him somehow going to meet these girls, which apparently didn't happen. The other theory is that he so I had read that he didn't like Meredith very much.
That's what I heard, that he really wasn't planning on asking her to marry him.
No,
Oh,
no, no.
Meredith. Oh,
Meredith,
Alexis.
the
I
friend.
confuse them all the
Yeah.
time. Yes, I did hear he didn't like Meredith, and I don't know why.
She bugged him, I guess, but Meredith was there with Clint. So the theory, which totally reasonable, is that he took a different exit to just avoid seeing Clint and Meredith. He didn't kind of want to talk to her, which meant not talking to Clint because they were together. So he'd exited out the service entrance exit to avoid seeing them.
Cautionary tale for people who love the Irish goodbye as much as I do. You know, the Irish goodbye got him in trouble this time, potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was also Clint and him. There was some stuff about Clint and him where they weren't actually maybe that good of friends, and that Clint talked badly about him after he died, and that there was
Or
some stuff between
after
them.
he disappeared.
I mean, I'm sorry, after he
Yeah.
picked up and started a new life
Yeah.
in Margaritaville.
In Margaritaville with Jimmy Buffett. With Jimmy Buffett. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. It's just so.
I know. Are we? We're not making light of. But humor and horror are like best friends.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. No.
I don't make the rules.
Yeah. It's our way of coping. But yeah. So a few things about. Okay. So then that theory is then he left. Some people think he is, buried in cement in a construction site because there was construction. But then folks in construction were saying, you guys, we would have seen a body. Like it wasn't like there was this huge,
Yeah.
10-foot hole that was just suddenly filled with cement. Like the construction area around there was not in such a state as to easily fall into and just disappear.
No, and you wouldn't just back up a cement truck and be like bloop without even looking
Right,
in.
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that theory has sort of been shut down a little bit, that he ended up in a construction site, dead. Other theories, which are, I'd say, a little more plausible, are that he tried to walk home, from the bar, and some people fucked with him and killed him, dumped him in a dumpster somewhere, or disposed of his body somewhere where he just has not been found. So either fucking with him in an attempt to rob him, or yeah, it could be a robbery gone wrong where he put up a fight and then they killed him and then disposed of his body. Again, so strange that he would not have been seen before or during this exchange anywhere on camera. It's still so strange. But there's that theory, which I tend to go along with that one. It feels like the most likely scenario. The other theory that people hold on to is that somehow Clint is responsible because he refused a polygraph, which you and I both would not do a polygraph because we consume enough true crime to know better. Yeah. I mean, a lawyer up.
Yeah. And I mean,
Immediately
also
lawyer up.
yeah, and do not take a polygraph. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm so anxious. It would just be like,
Yeah, exactly.
The Meredith took one, and he was with
Yes.
Meredith the whole night, so that sort of gets him off the hook in my mind.
Right.
But yeah, and then people think that Clint may have known, because of Clint's behavior, he may have known more about Brian's plan to escape and helped him, but I just think that's making stuff up. I mean, there's no real evidence of that. There's no real
No.
evidence of anything really in this case. I think more like that's why I just go with what seems like most statistically probable, and that's like getting, people do troll areas, in college towns. Serial killers do it, burglar robbers do it, rapists do it. They drive around looking for people when they're vulnerable and they've been drinking and they're walking home alone. And
Look at what happened to, we did the case on Shannon Christian and Christopher Newsom,
oh god.
two people minding their own business that, that they were brutalized. I mean, they were found, right? Little different outcome, but that doesn't necessarily mean um, that Brian could not have met a similar-ish fate, right? He
Totally. The
was
only reason they're
unsuspecting.
Yeah. And the only reason they were found is because they were really stupid and they left all these clues. I mean, the
The
killers were so
car, yeah,
stupid that they left. If this person was like had a lair, or like a place that they would take people to hurt them, they could have easily picked him up and incapacitated him and taken him somewhere else and
right,
dumped him. Hmm.
yeah. I mean, and it is the case that there was a good 48 hours, which is a long time to
Hmm.
have to come up with a plan and implement the plan. Far,
Yeah.
far, far away from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. Another case that I'll bring up briefly that of a missing person where it's just interesting sometimes what seems so crazy and mysterious and is not, is Brandon Swanson.
Hmm.
So another unsolved case where someone has never been seen or heard from again is Brandon Swanson. So Brandon was a 19-year-old from Marshall, Minnesota. He disappeared May 14th, 2008. So about 2 years after Brian Shaffer. Um, his car got stuck in a ditch while he was driving home from, I think it was a party. And so he called his parents for help. And his parents found his car abandoned with the doors open, but Brandon was gone. And despite extensive searches and theories ranging from accidental drowning in the nearby Yellow Medicine River to foul play, he's never been found. His case led to the passage of Brandon's Law, which requires prompt investigation of missing adults, which is great because, they're always like, well, we got to wait. We got to lose precious time because they're,
Striking out on their own.
yes.
They wanted to get away from things. Yeah.
But with Brandon, it was strange because he gave like the wrong information. He was like lost, right? And he stayed on the phone with his parents, and he kept talking to them and talking to them and talking to them. And he was trying to walk. He goes, I think that's such and such town. I'm going to walk towards the light. So he's like cutting through a field and
Ugh.
he's on the phone with them. And then suddenly the call just drops abruptly. And he and his phone were never found. And so his parents eventually discovered his car. And what's interesting about this case is I think I told you about this, that I was the Morbid podcast, the Morbid ladies. I think they had like a listener's kind of response, like about this case. A few people, one person in particular actually, had said like, "Hey, I'm from that area, and the
Mhm.
thing is, like sinkholes, like not
Mhm.
something, not, I don't want to say a sinkhole like you
Oh,
see in like
wells.
movies. wells, like things, it's not so crazy to like fall in, especially if it's nighttime, you can't see,
Yeah.
you're in an area that you are not familiar with, you can absolutely just get swallowed up by one of these things. And they were saying that for them, it really didn't seem that mysterious.
I think he said, "Oh shit," too, right before something happened. I think he
Yeah,
said, yeah, and then so someone, yeah, someone was saying could be wells, could be holes, could be like out of service things that they would use on farms or whatever, and or the river because he was getting close to the river and that could have swept him away.
sure.
But that was,
Yeah.
I know, that is so. Can you imagine being on the phone with your kid and having to hear that unfolding?
No,
I know,
no.
absolutely the worst thing ever. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, so this is another case. So it's interesting because again, just to really drive the point home that Brian Shaffer's disappearance really does feel like he disappeared into thin air is here we have Brandon again, car trouble issue, a car
Yep.
issue. So Brandon, runs into a ditch, he gets stuck. Maura crashes her car. Bryce Laspisa crashes his car,
Mhm.
and Brian just walked into the ether somehow.
I know.
And that is the craziest thing. It's not so much even like did he do himself in? Did he walk away and shrug off his life as a med student and start anew elsewhere? Did he meet with foul play where he was abducted and robbed and killed? Um, was he taken by aliens, right? Like, let's say that's I know for some people it is a valid theory.
Or like a people other one people think talk about portals, like, going into some other dimension or something. But, we've all I told you about my story about how I lost this razor blade. I was like scraping
Right.
something off my and I couldn't find it and it was so hard. It's like I'm still talking about it. It was a stupid like razor blade that flew out and but it I think there's something about we talk about this a lot on this show, but like there's something about ambiguity or uncertainty and we don't have when you don't have the answer, you don't have like as I feel for his family because it's like the grieving process is so different for people in cases where someone goes missing than it is for when someone dies. It's like you don't get that resolution, it doesn't close the loop in your brain, and it's kind of for me it feels like it's like an open wound, and moving on from that is so much different. I mean, I don't know how you ever let go of the questioning.
Yeah.
I don't know if people do. um
Yeah,
mm,
and that's what's crazy is I'm less curious about where he is and more curious about how we didn't see him disappear, how we didn't see him leave the bar, how we didn't see him on anything, on any kind of footage. And it really points to where we are in our culture, that in some ways, as terrifying as it is that we cannot live undetected, right?
yeah,
Like I'm at Target and I can see myself in the camera. I'm at the
yeah,
bank, I can see myself in the camera. I pass by my neighbor's house, I'm going to be in their ring footage passing
yeah,
by.
yeah,
We can't do anything now without a record of us existing and walking around. And that's incredibly unsettling on one hand, yet we've really come to rely on it as a means of verifying our very existence, right?
you're keeping, yeah, or tracking. I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it, that you know,
there's a whole series about this. There's a true crime series about this, and it's all about the CCTV footage. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's like I think about this all the time in terms of movies. How much harder it is to move a plot line forward in like horror movies or abduction. And that's not harder, but when you didn't have phones,
oh, it's
people could
easy.
just
Yeah.
swipe you off the street. I mean, so, but I think the hard part is Well, I think for him, I think it was bad luck. I think it was there are a lot of cameras and there are a lot of blind spots where he was, and he might have just taken the path where there were blind spots and there
It's,
weren't.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the conclusion that I come to, is that
Yeah.
somehow, whether fortunately or unfortunately, depending on where he is, and what he's doing, if he is somehow still alive and living as Jimmy Buffett in Margaritaville, um, it's he somehow, somehow escaped detection.
And his people that hurt him escaped detection. That's, I mean, I wonder though, if you are a person who's a criminal and you want to hurt people, you're probably not going to go to the streets with the most cameras to do it.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're if you're a seasoned
Mm-hmm.
um, criminal, but again, how the fuck did Brian get to the
Yeah,
the low recording area without being picked up on something? Like,
I
it
know.
really, it's
God, it's so,
it
it almost does. Yeah, it's like, yeah. If
yeah
the,
it
mm,
it it reminds me of when, our last episode, we were talking about, or not our last, the episode before last, when we were talking about how, Adam Walsh in Hollywood, Florida, at the Sears, that like, what it happened to be like, there's the theory that it was Jeffrey Dahmer that got him. Unlikely. It Otis Toole is the person, but then, like, how crazy would it have been if Adam Walsh happened to be there and have the shit luck of being there at the same time as two serial killers,
God, I
right?
know.
And so it's like with Brian Shaffer, it's like, what are the odds that somehow on this evening he managed to escape any kind of detection and then ended up in a low detection area where he was, abducted or killed or whatever. Um, yeah. I wonder too. I think some people. I mean, it's not everyone has gone through this over and over and over again. It's like, did he somehow was he walking somehow next to someone, and
Oh yeah.
just, you didn't see him because he's on the other side of someone? Did he exit with the band when they were loading up their stuff, and he's just continuing to shoot the shit with them, and somehow he passed by and somebody's like carrying a drum set, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is
Yeah.
it possible? But then the band had said, like, no, they actually, that
No.
didn't happen. Um,
A big horde of people did exit with the band, I guess. Like some of the employees and stuff. And so yeah, you're right. He could have just blended in, but he was really tall. And I think they've gone over it enough. I mean, I guess I would like a full accounting of how glitchy these systems were. They were older, I imagine. But what are again? What are the odds? Like it glitches out whenever he's supposed to be in frame.
right.
Um, yeah, it just feels so. It is so mysterious and compelling and sad. It's like I was talking about this with you the other day in a message I left you. It's like all these cases, John Bonet, Madeline, Brian Shaffer, there's like, oh, I really want to know what happened. I really want to know before I die. I would like to know what happened, but we might all go to our graves with no answers.
We'll know after.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
say, Brian, tell me the truth. How did you really like Jimmy Buffett that much?
Were you wasting away again in Margaritaville that whole time?
Were you looking for your lost shaker of salt?
Or were you like, it's so funny that I mean, I liked Pearl Jam too, but like if that was my story, if I had gone missing and people kept referring to that, I would be like, from the grave, I'd be like, please tell them I liked some other bands too. It's like you get this impression that he was like obsessed. He was
Right.
very, yeah, yeah.
Oh my
uh,
goodness. Yeah. So so you had heard that he was a little more ambivalent about Alexis.
yeah. I heard that people were kind of like, I'm not sure if he was really going to ask. I mean, he was flirting with other girls. I know guys do that anyways, but it seems so shady. But
He's a good-looking guy. It could also be
yeah.
that he just it's like in his head, he's like, "I still got it." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
not he had no intention
Yeah.
of following through, but it's just he wanted to feel, cute, I guess. I don't know.
It just reminds me of my ex who was speaking with an Irish accent and I busted him.
Dude, that is the
It's just so
weirdest thing.
right, and it's just weird. I'm like, I mean, I guess I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he just was like, maybe this is like his bachelor moment because he knew he was going to ask her to marry him or something. But uh, yeah, But I think I heard that he'd had no ring. He hadn't bought a ring. There was still time that he could have bought a ring, I guess. And people get engaged without a ring. I got engaged without a ring. Oh, it was like a little toy ring. Um, so, but yes, I did hear that. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know who makes, people can say anything about you when you're
I
there.
had I had heard something not far off from that either. Now again, like you point out, here he is, in medical school, questioning everything. He's lost his mother. He's exhausted. Um, Sometimes, you kind of are not. You have plans, but you don't necessarily know that you're going to execute them right away. But to like tell Alexis, like, man, you should just sleep. And it could be that he just felt bad because he was just in a bummer, place in his life at that moment. He's like, you don't have to deal with this.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
it could be that sometimes we take what often just amounts to typical couple, you know, talk and then put too much meaning into it, like him flirting with the girls or him telling Alexis she could leave or him saying that he plans to propose but there's no set date.
Yeah. Yeah. There was also the theory that his brother offed him for the inheritance money that was coming to them. It was supposed to be split three ways between the dad and the two brothers, but his brother was supposed to meet him that night and didn't. And I lives with a lot of guilt about that, I heard.
Oh, at the Ugly Tuna, that he was supposed to go there and then just didn't.
He was with his girlfriend and they were at some comedy show, I think. And then he was supposed to meet Brian that night and they just never did. Um, and so now he questions, if I had gone and would things be different? And I'm like, yes, they would. I mean, it's a terrible thing to live with, but they would be different. And I think we live with that all the time in our lives when we make decisions, right? It's like, ugh,
Sure.
if I had taken that street, might I have been in that, mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's funny this maybe his brother killed him so that he could have the full inheritance from the mother. And it's like, that's crazy, except fucking I do watch a lot of forensic files, and that is a
happens.
common fucking theme in a
Yeah.
lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that much money. So it was like, I mean, it was a lot of money. I mean, if I would love to have that. It was like, I
Sure.
guess 30,000 maybe each or something. They were splitting it three ways. So I forget. So it was,
So it would have come to about 30,000 each.
I think initially, yeah. And so if he had killed him, he would have only gotten like 15,000 more and the dad 15,000 more. So unless he was really hard up and that was like, worth killing him, I don't know. That doesn't seem like,
Yeah, I don't,
but
I
I
don't
mean,
buy it.
some people kill people for like $1,000. I don't, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that is insane. And then of course, what's his brother gonna do? Like, did he meet him on a dark on an area without CCTV footage? Like his brother like had this whole thing all planned out.
Gotta
Yeah,
get that. Yeah.
gotta get that extra
Gotta get that
15 grand.
30,000.
Yeah.
I got bills to pay. Oh man. Yeah, I can't imagine. The poor brother. So the dad
The dad
happened,
died.
yeah,
Yeah.
in a freak storm accident not long after Brian went missing, right? About
Right.
within. And so the poor brother lost his entire family within like a year or something, which is terrible. He doesn't give a lot of interviews, but I know he has talked to some
Sure.
people. I think he
Yeah.
said that he didn't give a lot of interviews because it was just a lot emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you reconcile this? This, his brother literally disappeared.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I would be so devastated. I don't know. I would you have to go on. I think that's what most people do is you just take it with you. You just it's a part of your experience that there's nothing you can do about it. And then you have a different experience of grief. It's kind of like a disenfranchised grief. And then you kind of I think people pour themselves into things like forming a nonprofit that helps missing children or a scholarship fund or like um what's his name? Our guy who started Adam
John
Walsh.
Walsh,
John Walsh.
America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think America's Most Wanted is what cracked the John List case.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it was America's
Wow.
Most Wanted that cracked that. Someone saw it and they were like, "Hey, that's my accountant," or whatever it was that he was doing.
Oh,
And
he murdered his whole family.
he's like, "Shucks, foiled again."
You got me.
Yeah, but it was America's Most Wanted, I think that cracked that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was uh there's no conclusion we can really come to. What do you think happened to Brian?
Oh, really have no idea. But like the thing that seems the most probable to me. Well, you have okay, we didn't talk about this. You have those people that like I don't know where he went. Well, I found him wrapped up in a yoga mat behind the bleachers. I found
Right.
him 25 years later. We found his body behind the freezer.
Right.
So I mean, there's I guess some freak accident, but they've done a lot of work on that place. They've done a lot of remodeling. I think they would have found him if he was in some crevice somewhere.
Yeah. And he would
Um,
have smelled it.
yeah,
Come
sometime.
on.
I mean, that one
Right?
dude, well, I guess, but that one dude who was behind the freezer in the grocery store for 25 years, he was melting back there and no one, I guess people probably chalked it up to like bad grocery store smell. I don't know.
Well, it's
But
also yeah. And also, when it's just there's cleaning
yeah. Ugh.
the caustic chemicals that they use to clean and sanitize and disinfect probably masked a lot of that.
Do you remember the Berkeley Bowl meat counter smell at the old Berkeley Bowl?
I forgot about that was on University Avenue, right?
Oh
Was
my
that where
god.
Berkeley Bowl
No,
was?
it was on Shattuck and
Shattuck. Okay.
it was in that little like old bowling alley. I remember I would walk in and I had to like hold my breath. That stunk so bad. But so maybe there was something like that there.
Sure.
But I think I think he was just a crime of opportunity. I think somebody probably got him on his way home and probably didn't rob him. Maybe they meant to rob him. I think it's probably a Shannon Christian. I feel like it's a Shannon Christian, Christopher Newsom kind of situation.
Sure.
Otherwise, why not just
Probably robbed what was on him,
yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
then disposed of his body. So if he had any cash, they took it. If he had any valuables, a watch, whatever, they took it and then just discarded him somehow, somewhere.
Yeah, and hopefully didn't like violate him before they did that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would hope not, but yeah.
I know.
Oh,
What do you think happened?
I agree with you.
Mhm.
It's the only thing that makes any sense. And that unfortunately it's just a fucking fluke that it was never caught on just the bad luck that, whatever CCTV maybe just was not working or just didn't scan at the moment that he passed by. Or it's like, the movie Baby's Day Out, where the baby just inadvertently,
Yes.
like he goes walking and then like the manhole comes up and he crosses and somehow he just manages to avoid disaster. Somehow he just avoided detection. Brian just avoided detection somehow, and that it happens.
Yeah.
These things happen.
I know what you're saying, though. What you're saying earlier about how we live in a constantly surveilled world. Um, that I think that's where it comes from in a way, like in our psyches, like the fact that he could go undetected in such a, it does feel like a dimensional, like he popped into another dimension, right? Because it
Yeah.
is a hole. It's a hole in the whole, like, you know, and there is something horrifying about that, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Two ways, the two ways
yeah,
of horror. One is that we are being watched constantly, and so when someone somehow avoids detection, it's it's encouraging in one way because it means that you can escape it,
yeah,
and then it's horrifying in that does that it seems as though he no longer exists because of it, because of the way that the way we think of existence now in the just this context of being constantly watched. We are so accustomed to it that
yeah.
when someone isn't, it means something else,
Yeah,
um
and then that makes me think in psychological terms just about, like, the ambivalence of being seen,
yeah,
like, right, like, I love that quote, the Winnicott quote of, "It's a joy to be hidden and a disaster not to be found," and, like, ho just being, I mean, the whole thing about seeing and being seen, and, like, it is containing in a way to be seen,
sure,
surveilled.
yeah,
It is because I have Tim on my phone, and I can, like, track his little bubble. I can see where he is, which is great. I don't do it that often except for when I'm like, "Where is he? He's late." But, like, it's nice to know that if someone's got my back, like, if I'm
right,
out running or something, he can see my dot and, like, so, um, but it is also, again, like you said, horrifying. Like, so maybe
yeah,
we don't wanna be surveilled. Maybe we wanna have some privacy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, jeez, yeah, I think about that. I think about, like, my searches and shit on my
Ugh.
man, have fun, feds. I look at some weird shit, man. I look
Oh
at
my
some
god.
weird shit. It's sprinkled in there is, I love my pug so much. Does my Frenchie think about me when I'm not around?
How do I know my dog loves me?
Yeah, no, that's a common one that pops up. Like
Yes.
how do I know my dog loves me? Yeah.
I'm looking at my history right here on Grok. Yeah, no, I would definitely go to prison. I'm asking about carprofen for dogs. Then how much a 1-star review screws up your ratings. Madeline McCann. Anyway, yeah.
And now with all the Epstein shit, everybody's searches are
Oh
looking really
god.
obscene and weird. Yeah.
Mine's, yeah, no, I just saw mine about Epstein, and
Yeah.
I'm all, is Pizzagate real?
All right, guys. We will see you next time. And as always, please leave us a 5-star review. Follow us on Instagram at Secret Passage Podcast. And we will see you next time.
We'll see you next time.